Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and I hope everybody's having a fantastic day today. In this video, we're going to be going over the worst loot locations in PUBG. They can stretch across any of the PUBG maps, ones that I think are just exceedingly bad and you should really never go to. Some locations that I think are not good are for different reasons than other locations that I pick as well, and we're going to get into all of that. But before we jump into it, if you guys could spare a second to leave a like rating, it does help me out a lot. And also make sure to subscribe if you're brand new to the channel so you're not missing any more of videos like this or streams that I do. And make sure to let me know your thoughts as far as what your opinion on the worst loot location in PUBG is. Maybe the one that you put in the comments will be on this list, and if it is, let me know. Either way, if it's not on this list, let me know what you think is the most terrible place to loot ever in PUBG. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, grab a drink, grab a snack, sit back and relax. We're going to get into these 10 worst ever loot locations to be featured in PUBG. Now, coming in today on our first spot has to be the quarry from Sanhok. Now, this was the first location I thought of when making this list, and the reason for that is because Sanhok, just in general, every location is so loot dense and it's packed, but this feels like I'm looting in Miramar sometimes. Like, it's an absolute disaster. I think one of the biggest problems is that most of the loot, the loot that even is there is not even on the ground. The majority of it is up on these rocks and different like square boxes and structures that you kind of have to climb, jump, and parkour to even access this loot. And when you do, it's not even that rewarding. You might come out with a decent AR or something, maybe level 1 gear if you're lucky, but it's just really not that much for what it should be. And also, not to mention, just the position and the design of the area is, if anybody catches you in the quarry, it's just shooting fish in a barrel, honestly. Now, don't get me wrong though, the location isn't all bad, because especially if you're already set up and you're fighting an enemy squad in the quarry, you're both in there, it can make for some really interesting battles and unique situations. But just as far as getting loot and trying to get set up in there, it's just really not doing it for me. So I think the quarry earns a yikes out of 10 for me. Now, moving along here and switching maps over to my boy Erangel, and coming in next on our list is going to be the location none other than the prison. And it's one of those locations where I just think to myself, why do people still go here? It was one of those spots that were actually pretty popular when the game was very early in its life cycle, but I can understand now that this is just so much of an inefficient and bad place to land. Reason being is because there really isn't that much loot to pick out. If you're playing solo or duos, you might get away with it and you'll probably have decent gear, but the amount of people that usually go here per game, alongside of there only being one main building and a couple warehouses, just adds up to a bad time. Normally, this would be the point where I would say, well, I've talked all of these bad things about it, but here's one good attribute about this location. But honestly, the prison, I don't really have anything good to say about it. There's not any redeeming factors. In my opinion, the actual environment sucks here. It kind of falls into the same issue as the quarry, where you're literally in a bowl. So that's no fun. At the end of the day, if you're in a location where you can't really escape and the loot is just subpar, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and pass. If you're sitting here dropping prison every game and you're playing for real, you're not trolling, please let me know what is the draw to this. I just don't get it. Maybe I need to be enlightened. Maybe I'm an idiot. I'm not really sure. But keeping this trend moving along and going over to Miramar, our next map in PUBG, this location has to be one called Alcantara, and this is the most far left top of the map you can possibly get, and it's still a named spot. Now, its biggest weakness is the fact that it's so far away from where the circle is normally going to be played at. I've never, and I repeat never, have ever had an end game that has landed anywhere near this location. And it's kind of a shame, to be honest, because really there's not bad loot here as far as getting gear. You could probably bring a whole squad and you'd all come out with good stuff. And there's also some really unique environments to fight in. There's a nice mountainside. There's also some ruins that have tents in them that have been camped out. And I don't know, it has a really unique battlefield layout as compared to the rest of Miramar, which is very flat and like kind of hilly here and there with some structures. So it's unique, it's different, but it just doesn't see any playtime, and so it's not really pointful to loot there. So it's nothing to write home about, but it is interesting to see this part of Miramar that hardly gets pretty much zero playtime. Now, getting away from that and going back over to Sanhok, where we started, but a different loot location, which is going to be a bit controversial, is the bootcamp. Now, don't get me wrong, the bootcamp can be insanely fun, but honestly, you're going to have 30 to 40 people land here per game because it's that much of a monster. But the biggest problem with bootcamp is the sheer amount of players and just the optimization issues that come with it, and honestly, the amount of pure random that's going to happen by landing here. It's kind of like rolling a slot machine. When when you're the first to land on a gun and there's plenty of people around you, you can just slay out and it's so rewarding. But then again, on the flip side of that coin, if you don't find a weapon and you just struggle to get one, you're going to get smacked over and over again, and it's just going to feel really unlucky, and just the most inconsistent way to play Sanhok. A lot of people, including myself, like to use bootcamp as sort of a warm-up location just to get yourself into gear, get your head focused on the game, and jump into some actual serious ones after that. Bootcamp, you just cannot expect to go there and win every game. It's not humanly possible. I guess technically every hot drop location across all of the maps in PUBG can be guilty of this, but I think it's bootcamp that has it the worst, so that's why I had to put it on this list as the most inconsistent way to play the game. Now, coming in next on our list is a location that actually is probably one of the original ones that got memed for being a bad loot location, and this is Zharki from Erangel, of course. Now, if you've ever played this map, you will instantly know that it's very, very far out of the way, similar to the one that we talked about in Miramar, and also similar to that is that I think it's a shame because it has very interesting visuals here. It's a cool looking town, you have a coast, you have a lighthouse, which you really can't find that stuff on all parts of the map, but you really never ever get to fight here. I've maybe had a circle once or twice, almost ever. Zharki is like this anomaly of Erangel. We know that it exists on the map, but it's just like a place that we don't know a lot about because we're just never there. And it's weird because in Erangel, you pretty much have playtime everywhere else in the map, at least sometimes if you play the game enough, but Zharki just really doesn't ever get that same amount of play. Honestly, I would like to maybe see the circle algorithm tweaked a little bit to give that a more of a spotlight. I wouldn't think that's a bad idea at all. Let me know your opinions on that in the comments below, but let's move on to the next loot location here. Coming in next is ironically another prison, but this is the one that is featured in Miramar. If you've never seen this, I don't blame you because it's so far again out of the way that is one of the biggest weaknesses that it has. A good thing to say about it is that the gear is pretty solid. It's consistent. That's something I've noticed. I've really never left without at least level 2 armor, and that's probably the biggest praise I can give it, but I will say that it's not worth your time just for level 2 armor. The circle that you got to fight, the distance that you're going to be away from every play zone is just too big of a risk in my opinion. I'd say 95 times out of 100, the circle will not land on this island, meaning you'll need to get off at some point, but the problem is the amount of vehicles around this location is quite scarce, to be honest, and like it sucks because that's not how it should be balanced. If you go to this island, you might be stuck there for the rest of the game, or you'll have a hard time getting off it, that's for sure. The more I think about it though, I don't want to put all of the blame on necessarily the prison. I just think it's really that entire area of the map that's garbage, right? It's not good loot. There are interesting combat locations. It's fun to fight there, but it's just rare that ever happens. And I just wish kind of things like this would be tweaked. I'm starting to see a running theme here. It's like a lot of the places that I think would be interesting to fight in never get any spotlight. So why is that? There are some places that are both fun to fight and have good loot, but they're few and far between. There are so many places that they could take advantage of that they're not doing in the game, and I'm just not entirely sure as to why that's the case, to be honest. But getting away from that and moving along here, the next location I want to talk about today is gonna be Sanhok's own cave. Now, I think that this falls under the same problems as the Erangel prison does. The reason is because, again, that whole fish in a bowl concept goes all the way back, but not only that, they hyped up this location to be like the place to go, like the hot drop for the most part. It's the most dangerous, it's the most fun, and I agree that it's an interesting place to battle at, but it doesn't really have anything to offer in the ways of getting good gear coming out of it, and there's also only one escape path. There's a boat which is constantly there that you can use to get out of the cave, but that's a problem because people can just wait right outside of the opening of the cave to wait you and kill you as you come out. If this could be kind of solved, if there were 2 different openings maybe, that would lessen the chances of people camping that. I've seen this happen before, and trust me, it's not fun. Some good things I can say about it is that it's visually very cool, and I think it's a good idea in theory. I just don't think that in this game, in execution, it really turned out the way that they were planning it to be, just in my opinion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at our final spot of the worst location, you guys thought it was going to be Pochinki, but it's not. It's going to be Kameshki, the place that I literally couldn't even be bothered getting gameplay for because there's no point. You know what town I'm talking about though in Erangel. It's the one that was added in. It's a new location, but I don't know why they put it in because of its just poor design choices and a lack of anything interesting to talk about. There's no cool visuals there. There's nothing unique going on, and the loot is just garbo. So I don't think it really deserves anything in regards to that, and I don't know why it's even a named location in Erangel. But but here we are today. Kameshki is actually one of the worst loot locations ever in the game, and I think that is true straight up. But again, this entire list is very much subjective, and it's really personal opinion at the end of the day. If you love any of these locations on the list, that's absolutely fine. Let me know your reasoning. I'm curious to hear it, but also let me know what is your least favorite locations in the game. Maybe I missed a couple. I definitely missed a couple, but let me know exactly which those ones are. And before we end the video, I need to let you guys know a quick message in case anybody else didn't see it on the previous video. Black Ops 4 is coming out in just a couple of days, and on the channel, at least for a little bit, I want to focus on that content and see sort of how that does. I have a lot of really cool ideas for Blackout and for zombies that I cannot wait to share with you guys, and I really hope it's something that you enjoy. But we're just going to go through this process, and I'm going to take your guys' feedback as to what you want to see. PUBG will not be going away. I still will be uploading the game and streaming the game, but I also do want to experiment and dabble with something a little bit new as well. So stick along for the ride and just keep your feedback coming. Let me know what you think of all the new stuff on the channel. But anyways, guys, that is going to be the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like rating. It helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well, and you haven't done already. Go follow me on Twitter. Go join my Discord. Just check the links in the description. Go do all that stuff, and I will see you guys all up in the next stream or the next video. Take it easy, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and peace out.